Stephanie Symonette, writer, advocate.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Symonette. I am from Colorado Springs. I am a Coloradoan. So I played varsity volleyball in high school, and I was able to get a 4-year scholarship to Howard University. So I was very blessed to be able to attend college there from playing volleyball. So I graduated in 97, and I worked as a dental assistant because I always wanted to be a dentist, but that path didn't actually work out for me. I have traumatic brain injury, other words known as a TBI, and I got diagnosed with that in 2015, although I know I had it way before that. I have been in substantial car accidents. My sophomore year in college, I was walking across the street and got hit by a car. And I guess the person thought that they were putting on the brakes, but they put on the accelerator and then they slammed on the brakes. So that was one. But the thing is unless you're bleeding from the head or, the doctors they don't really do a thorough examination, and I feel like every accident that I've been in, now that I know what I know about TBIs, I don't really feel like I got a really good thorough examination. So that was my sophomore year in college. And in 2003, I was in New York, in Brooklyn with some of my friends for Memorial Day. And we were on our way back, and we were at a stoplight and got slammed in the back by a New York City transit bus. So fortunately, I had my seatbelt on. But if I had not, I think it would have been definitely a lot worse. The girl who was behind me, one of my friends who was behind me, she did not have her seatbelt on. So she slammed up against the back of I was in the right passenger side, and she slammed up against the back of my chair. So I'm flying forward, and then I fly back. And so, but then there's a force flying against my chair. So that was very detrimental to my brain, my body and my brain. Unfortunately, like I said, it could have been a lot worse, but we were saved in that accident. So I'm definitely blessed with that. I was able to, in 2015, I was able to go to the Amen Clinic, which was in Virginia. And they did a very thorough assessment, and they could even see past traumas. Because when I was in about 7th grade, I was in middle school, and I was walking to school, and I slipped on ice and fell back, and it landed right on the back of my head. But back then it wasn't really talked about, so it was just a matter of, take 2 aspirin, take a bed, go to bed and call it a day. But I think that's when a lot of my memory and focus and a lot of those started to show up. But it was just a matter of you're not paying attention, or you need to study a little harder. It was never attributed to falling back because I didn't really speak on that. Even though I lost a patch of hair in the back of my head from that, my short and my long-term memory has been affected. My prefrontal cortex was damaged in some of the accidents, and so that affects my memory because that's considered like the executive function of the brain. So anything dealing with organization, memory retention, it did a lot also to my mental state. It kind of changed. My anxiety level was plummeted sky high. PTSD just from the accidents, but a lot of it was more memory. Having to take medication that I, had never really been on before, experiencing just so much pain, headaches, pain, that runs from my neck down to my arm, my back. So chronic pain is like the memory, the organization, the mood imbalances. So, there's quite a bit that goes on with the TBI. When you look at me, you don't see traumatic brain injury. You don't see TBI. You don't see memory loss. You don't see confusion. You just see someone who just looks quote unquote normal, but what is normal? And sometimes I think, like, if I had something visible that people could identify, okay, well, she has a bandage wrapped around her head. We know that she has something wrong with her head. But because I don't have any signs, visual, right, immediate signs that I have traumatic brain injury, I do get judged quite a bit because I think people expect so much more than sometimes I'm able to give, especially if I'm overwhelmed. The judgment, the preconceived notions that everything is just fine, that, people just assume. There's a lot of assumptions. And most times I have to kind of wrap myself out and say, and I really don't necessarily like to disclose that I have a traumatic brain injury, but there's a lot of times where I have to, because people just don't understand why I'm maybe not going as fast as someone else, or why I'm not grasping concepts. And I've lost jobs because, like, as an administrative assistant, there's a lot of multitasking. Even answering the phones, by the time they say who their name is, I would have forgotten their name. I don't have paper to write it down. And if I write it down, it's wrong. So there's a lot of different jobs that I've had where I didn't disclose that I had a TBI. But, a lot of people knew, oh, there's something just not quite right. We don't know, how to put our finger on it. But I've definitely become more comfortable with letting people know, if necessary, that I have a traumatic brain injury. And most times, people will be understanding, but a lot of times they're not, because they don't see anything. So my writing in a way for me is a form of independence, because I can remember when I was not able to write my thoughts and my feelings down. And sometimes that was because either I was hospitalized, or, they only give you like a little pen, a little pad or something. So for me to be able to verbalize myself either on my computer or whether I'm just writing, then it's a very freeing experience for me. It's taken us, those of us with disabilities, has been able to take us to levels that we probably would not have been able to, in the progress that we've been able to make because of the ADA and the hard work that has been done just, for us to be able to have some of the basic rights as other individuals. And so I'd like to say, don't look at me as having a disability or having a traumatic brain injury, because I'm not a traumatic brain injury. I am a person, I'm a woman, I'm African American, and I think that's really important too. I think that's one of my missions in life is to be able to continue advocating for myself so that I can continue to advocate for others, even if it's in the smallest way. It doesn't have to be anything grand or anything. It could just be something saying hi to someone, to acknowledge that, you might be in a wheelchair, you might have crutches, whatever. Just say hi. They're a person just like I'm a person, just like you're a person, someone without a disability, someone with a disability. We all bleed red at the end of the day, so finding commonalities opposed to finding differences, I think, is really important. Independence means to me is being able to advocate for myself, being able to, and that's taken a while. It's taken a while to do, to know that I had that right and that choice to advocate for myself. And that was so freeing and liberating to know that if I speak up for either needs that I have or needs that I feel like aren't being met, then I have that choice and I have that right. And that in a great way allows me to have more independence, being able to advocate not only for myself, but I've been able to advocate for others as well. So a lot of people don't know when they are at college, they don't realize that most schools should have a disability center that they can go to and get the services that they need. So I was able to, while I was working on my master's, I was able to utilize the disability services. So I had longer testing time. I could test in a room by myself. I was able to record lectures. So there were a lot of great benefits that I was able to utilize because I advocated and because I searched those things out in order to help me be the best version of myself that I could be. And I think that has given me a lot of independence. Going to the Independence Center, having that support group, and I think that's one important thing of being an advocate for yourself or for someone else is to have a support network. So I know going to the Independence Center, going to their TBI support group has been amazing to know that, and the whole concept is to know that you're not alone. You know, we're still having to advocate for ourselves to get some of the basic necessities that other people have that those with disabilities don't have. So I think it's always going to be a continuous process. Yes, we've come a long ways, but yes, we still have a long ways to go. So being able to advocate for myself and someone who doesn't or can't advocate for themselves, I think that's really important.